Alright, let's be honest. In No Man's Sky, everybody wants cash. Cold and hard, loads of it. Well, I built a factory, and now I'm a 100-millionaire. If you do the same, you will be crashing economies left, right, and center. But it's all for a good cause, right? No, it's so we can become unbelievably rich. So today I'll teach you how to build this factory for yourself, and I'll even share the portal coordinates to the system with my base, so you can use what I build to produce your own big bucks with no building necessary. Let's get into it. So, to build this base, we first have to learn how the money-making process works. In a nutshell, ionized cobalt can be sold for many millions of units in large quantities. This ionized cobalt can be produced by refining normal cobalt or by putting it into a medium or large refiner with oxygen, and that second method is what we're going to be focusing on. Essentially, you can refine that ionized cobalt with that oxygen to get 6 times the ionized cobalt as a result. That's a recipe for richness if I've ever heard one. On to the base building. The self-sufficiency of this base is centered around its ability to produce oxygen, since that's the only resource in this refining process that runs out. Rather than having to teleport ourselves from system to system to buy oxygen in massive stacks, we're going to harvest it ourselves from hotspots. First, we've got to find our hotspot. For this, we're going to need the survey device upgrade for your analysis visor installed in your multi-tool, the blueprint for which can be bought from Iteration EOS, the multi-tool technology merchant in the space anomaly, for a couple hundred nanites, and constructed with 3 magnetic resonators, 1 quantum computer, and 2 wiring looms. Now that we've installed this module, we can cycle through the scanning options until it's searching for a gas hotspot. Now the searching process begins. If one side of the analysis visor starts flashing, turn towards that side until both sides are flashing equally, and move towards that spot until the unit counter in the center of the scanner is at 0 and you're analyzing the hotspot itself. I recommend having a hotspot of the class A or S, but if you don't find one, then it's fine, though your oxygen production will be severely limited with a class B or C. If no blinking or flashing happens when you start the searching process, or you don't find the class hotspot you're looking for, choose a random direction and run, drive, or fly towards it, checking your scanner repeatedly until the blinking begins and you start to locate a new hotspot. Once you're satisfied with your hotspot, mine being class A, it's time to begin the construction. Slap down that base computer before you proceed. You're going to need lots of materials to create a fully fledged farm, namely stacks of the materials used in batteries, solar panels, supply depots, gas extractors, and supply pipes. You can find the links to the wiki pages for those technologies in the description for information on getting their blueprints and what you need to build them. The trouble with building this base was knowing exactly how much power each device needed to function, but now I know the exact numbers and I can tell you what you'll need to do to build this base to the size you need. Each gas extractor will require 1 battery that is powered by 2 solar panels to last it through the day and night without halting oxygen production. So you can essentially scale up this formula and find out exactly the resources you need for this production line depending on how many gas extractors you want to place. An additional optional step if you want a lot of room for your oxygen to gather while you're not collecting it is setting up a bunch of supply depots as well to gather up your oxygen so the extractors don't run out of storage so fast. I strongly recommend this also because when you have a bunch of supply depots connected and bunched together, you can collect all the oxygen at once without having to go from extractor to extractor and collecting their individual stacks. You'll also need a room powered by a battery with 2 solar panels to fill with 3 medium refiners and an optional 2 extra large refiners for the actual cobalt making process. Once you've determined how many gas extractors you want and have acquired the materials required to build all the technologies to support them, I recommend beginning construction with the batteries and solar panels. Remember, 2 solar panels hooked up to 1 battery hooked up to 1 extractor. Once you've made all these solar panels and batteries and hooked them up with wiring, you can begin placing the extractors. Slap that first bad boy down right on the hotspot and place each subsequent one as close as possible to the first in an orderly, cross-based radiating fashion. Now you can hook them up to their dedicated batteries. When doing this, it helped me to go by rows and name the batteries and extractors things like row 7, number 3, and such, so I didn't wire a battery to multiple extractors. We're almost done now. If you've chosen to connect some supply depots, I recommend arranging them like your gas extractors and then hooking up 1 supply pipe from each extractor to 1 depot each. But any arrangement will work. Now we're on the final step, building that refinery room. Slap down a square or circular room and stick as many medium and large refiners in there as you can. You can even put a trade terminal, teleporter, health and shield generators, or whatever else you want in there. And if you haven't already, put down 2 more solar panels connected to one last battery and connect the battery to the building to power the whole thing up. Your base is now complete. You can spruce it up however you like, but at this point it should serve its purpose perfectly. And if you skipped through the video to now to get to the portal address to this system where my own base is located, here it is on screen. You can input these coordinates at any portal and walk through it to get there. Once you get to my base or are ready to use your own, acquire some cobalt or ionized cobalt from the Galactic Exchange or from mining, collect some oxygen from storage depots, place 1 material in each slot of the refiner, of course, in large refiners leave 1 slot empty, and start the process. Once the reaction ends, take the product, refill what needs to be refilled, and repeat. Continue until you run out of oxygen and then wait for your extractors to gather more, or just buy some more from the Galactic Exchange. After a good while, you'll have more ionized cobalt than you know what to do with. That was a lie. Of course you know what to do with it. Sell it. It'll take a while, but after not too long, you'll be filthy rich, just like I promised. How do you think I got these 100 million units in the bank? Well, I did murder a couple hundred civilians and stole their resources to sell in the black market, but we don't talk about that. Let's stick to the cover story of this method. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did or are just happy to have learned something new, feel free to leave a like, and if not, feel free to dislike. And if you want more informative guides of relative quality like this one, subscribe. I've got all the No Man's Sky knowledge and guides you could ever want on my channel, and more coming soon. I also want to thank Headhunter, sorry I can't do your name justice, for requesting this video. You, my buckaroo, gave me the motivation I needed to get back into making YouTube videos like these, and for that I thank you. And of course I'd love to hear any requests any of you have in the comments below, and I'll do my best to fulfill them. And with that, I will see you, buckaroos, in the next one.